Well, good morning, good afternoon or good evening, depending on when you're watching this video made exclusively for Luca for Mentalism Products Facebook group. My name, for those of you who don't know by birth, is Alex William Smith, but I'm better known as Jonathan Royle, hypnotist, magician and psychic entertainer of www.magicalguru.com. And over the next 15 minutes, or more like 14 now, I want to give you some directly, rapidly, easily usable, apparently hypnosis techniques. And I say hypnosis with the kind of speech marks because hypnosis doesn't exist. Hypnosis exists only in the mind of the believer. And to make that person believe and be cooperative, because there's only two states of hypnosis. Don't get confused by people say there's all different states. There's two states only, cooperative or non-cooperative. And to make somebody cooperative, you just need to convince them that you suggest things to them, they imagine them, and then they become some kind of physical reality, like their hands locking together. And once that's happened, and then maybe you do another second experiment and you suggest things, they imagine them, and then they become a reality to them, then they think, pointless overanalyzing this, and they get to a point where their critical faculty, analytical area of the brain is bypassed, and arguably they are in a hypnotic trance state. It doesn't matter whether their eyes are open or closed. That's irrelevant. It just means that they then do what you do unquestionably. How to get them along that garden path? Well, a few quick ones. Get them to put the hands out in front of them, interlock the fingers of the left hand against the back of the right, fingers of the right hand against the back of the left, thumbs down on top. Get them to put the two forefingers out and separate them about a couple of inches, and then to stare directly into your eyes and tell them you'll count backwards from 3 down to 1. Now you're going to do it slower than I am because I'm trying to teach you as much as I can in less than 15 minutes. But you're going to tell them you'll count backwards from 3 down to 1, and on the count of 1, if they concentrate, so if you concentrate, as I'm sure you will, do it with me, you'll find that by the count of 1, your fingertips will be stuck together. They'll have touched together, and they'll indeed be stuck together, locked, glued, welded, cemented. Just so long as you use your powers of intelligence, imagination and concentration effectively, as I'm sure you will. And then you count backwards slowly. So 3, imagining that on the tips of your fingers are the world's strongest magnet, starting to draw your fingers together closer and closer with each second that passes by, with every breath that you take, every noise that you hear, every word that I say, and every thought that you think. As on 2, it's almost as if someone's got a piece of rope and they're tying that rope around your fingertips into a knot and pulling the rope tighter and tighter. So as the knot gets tighter, the fingertips get closer and closer and closer together. And on 1, just so long as you use your powers of intelligence, imagination and concentration effectively, you can find that your fingertips are now touching. Now, for those of you watching this mini lecture, some of you, your fingertips will be touching, for others they won't, because I've done this incredibly rapidly. The key to this is, okay, the secret you need to know for when you try it, is that just so long as their hands are held, fingers of the left against the back of the right, fingers of the right against the back of the left, palms pressed tightly together, thumbs down on top, and the forefingers separated a couple of inches, then in that position, after a certain period of time, the tendons in the back of the hand get tired in the back of those fingers, and they will naturally draw together. Just put your hands in that position, separate your fingers and relax. Don't try to stop them going together, and notice that after a while they start to pull together. So you just present this, because after a certain period of time they definitely will be touching. You present this as though you're saying things, suggestions, they imagine them, and it becomes reality. The truth is it will, after a certain period of time, end up touching. So you say things like magnets drawing together, piece of rope being knotted. Watch this video back again, I don't need to waste time. The point being that you take something that's guaranteed to work, but apparent suggestions around it, so that when it does work, they come to the conclusion it's because you said things, they imagined them, they become reality. The moment the person genuinely believes that you say things, suggest them, they imagine them, and then they become reality, is the moment you've got critical faculty bypass of the analytical area of the brain, and you've got access to their personal network computer, their unconscious, subconscious mind, call it what you will. Okay? And of course, because you can see their fingertips in front of you, you can talk slower and slower as you count backwards from 3 down to 1, and go at a speed until you notice the fingertips are nearly touching, and then get to the number 1. So you can wait until the fingertips are touching. And the moment they are touching, you can tell them to keep using their powers of intelligence, imagination and concentration effectively. And just so long as you do that, you'll find your fingertips are now stuck, locked, glued, welded, cemented together. Now just try, which is Lemuel Coué's law of reversed effort, what resists, persists. The word try implies there's a possibility it won't work. So just try to separate your fingertips. The more you try, the more they stick. And naturally in that position, if you tell them to keep pressing their palms tightly together, because they're pressing the palms tightly together, it actually makes it harder to separate the fingertips because you've got the pressure of the hands there. It detracts the strength from doing the fingertips. Some will separate the fingertips, but don't worry, you just act as though that's perfectly normal and respond with a comment like, great, that tells me what I need to know. Now let's do this, and you go into something else as though it's perfectly normal. As long as you react as though it was always meant to happen that way, then that is the way people will perceive it, and that's what it's all about. Another great one, interlock the fingers, get them to push them away from them like this, up above their heads, and to stare at the back of the hands and keep pushing them high towards the sky, towards the rainbow. You count backwards from 3 down to 1. This time you tell them that on the count of 1, just so long as they use the powers of intelligence, imagination and concentration effectively. The hands will be stuck, fast, tight, locked, glued, welded, cemented together. 3, locked, glued, welded. 2, it's the world's strongest super glue on the back of your hands. On 1, just prove to yourself that all those muscles from the wrist, elbow, shoulders are stuck fast, tight. Keep staring at the back of your hands. Keep pushing your hands, and this is the key phrase, keep pushing your hands high towards the sky, towards the rainbow, and just so long as you keep pushing your hands high towards the sky, towards the rainbow, you will find your hands are stuck fast tight. Now try, law of reverse, separate your hands, and they won't be able to, as long as, and here's the thing, as long as they put their hands together like that, push them away from them like that, put them above their head like that, and push high towards the sky, towards the rainbow, as long as they do that, it's physically impossible in that position to separate the hands until you allow them to relax a bit and lower the hands when they will separate, which is what you can suggest to them happens next. Or you can go up to them, take hold of them by the wrist, lower their hands down over their face, tell them to follow the back of their hands with their eyes as you count once again backwards from 3 down to 1. So 3, you end up roughly in front of their eyes. 2, you end up so their head's nearly looking downwards. And on 1, you end up so that their head really is looking down at the hands, and then you can tap them on the back of the head and say, close your eyes and sleep. A firm command, sleep. And if you've done a previous thing like getting the fingertips to stick and then the hands to lock, doing that will end up them being compliant and keeping their eyes closed. But you can very quickly use what I call Almond's biggest secret to do a complete hypnosis show. Namely, Dave Almond in his green book, a book called Hypnotherapy, also available with a blue cover, he had a way of helping people with pain control. And that was, as they came into a hospital with burns, he'd go up to them and say, what's your favourite hobby? And the person might say swimming, for example. And he'd say to them, okay, close your eyes, take a nice deep breath in through your nose, and then out through your mouth. In through your nose, and then out through your mouth. And now just imagine your most pleasurable day swimming, and just so long as you keep swimming in your mind's eye, you'll feel no discomfort whatsoever. And these people, because they have such wonderful state-dependent memory learned behaviour, anchored conditioned responses to their genuine daily life experiences of swimming, those were all conjured up, those thoughts, feelings, emotions and memories by doing this, and that helped create pleasurable stuff and distract from the pain. And this got me thinking, hang on a minute, Almond is a genius. It's that phrase, just so long, because as you do this, it will work for you. It implies that if it doesn't work, it's their fault, and anyone watching will then perceive it that it's the person's fault on stage for doing something wrong, not you as the hypnotist. And that's combined with the fact that early on you will have told them that just so long as they use their powers of intelligence, imagination and concentration effectively, then this will be successful for them. So it will be perceived, if it doesn't work, that they're thick, stupid, no intelligence, no imagination, no concentration. So it puts them in a position where they're more socially compliant and they feel they have to do it. But then you can take them by the hand, quite literally, put their hand on a wall or stuck to a wall, you know, hold it against a wall, tell them to hold it there and you'll count from 3 to 1. On the count of 1, just as long as they concentrate, they'll find that on the count of 1 the hand will be stuck, fast, tight, locked, glued, welded, cemented to that wall or that lamppost or that chair or whatever. And then you can imagine the world's strongest super glue, the world's strongest magnets, turning off all the strength of the muscles in the hand, whatever nonsense you want to say as suggestions. And then when you get to 1, you're going on 1. Keep believing in the world's strongest super glue. Keep believing in the magnet sticking your hand to the lamppost, the wall or whatever. Keep believing in all those things. Keep using your powers of intelligence, imagination and concentration effectively. And now just prove to yourself you've done this correctly. Prove to yourself you've turned off all those muscles in your hand, and prove to yourself your hand's locked and you can't take it off. At this point, they either take the hand off the lamppost, but you don't look to blame, because to the audience it means that person's not done it correctly, they didn't use their intelligence, imagination or concentration, and it's their fault, not yours. Or, as happens the vast majority of the time, and the more you do it, the more you'll find you get the result you want, especially if you've previously done a fingers closer together, magnetic fingers or a locked hands like that, is that the hand will act as though it's stuck and they're not able to pull it off. Or it could be the hand stuck to the head, or you could even tell them, for example, to close their eyelids, turn off all the little muscles to their eyes, and you count backwards. 3, it's almost as if all the muscles are turned off. 2, the lock, glued, welded, cemented on 1. Keep believing in the world's strongest glue, sticking them together. And now just prove to yourself you've turned off all those little muscles. Just prove to yourself your eyelids are locked, and just try, law of reversed effort, just try to open your eyes. But prove to yourself you've done it correctly. Prove to yourself you've done it correctly. They're in a bind. To prove to themselves they've done it correctly. To prove to themselves they've got intelligence, imagination and concentration. To look good in front of everyone and to feel good about themselves, they have to react, act as if. It's almost as if, and that's a phrase I use on 3, imagine it's almost as if your eyes are locked, glued, welded, cemented together. And just so long as you use your powers of intelligence, imagination and concentration effectively, this will be wonderful for you. And on 1, just prove to yourself you've done it correctly. Use your powers of intelligence, imagination and concentration. Keep believing in those things. Prove to yourself you turned off all the muscles. Now just try to open your eyes, or try to take your hand off the wall where it's locked, or just try to say your name and notice you can't. It's on the tip of your tongue but it's gone. It can be literally anything. By using that technique, which I call Almond's biggest secret revealed, you can lock their foot to the floor, hand to the head, stick them to a wall, you can get them to forget their name, playing cards, colours, anything you've ever seen a stage hypnotist do, you can pretty much do using that technique because of the psychology, which will make even more sense when you play this back and watch again. I've got literally a couple of minutes left, so I would encourage you, if you want to learn more, that I've got a complete step-by-step free training course, 12 hours of video in all areas of hypnosis that can be used for therapy, stage, entertainment, demonstrational purposes, available at elitehypnosisbootcamp.com, and 3 complete training manuals on stage hypnosis, street hypnotism, therapy and all things hypnotic, available from Royle, templetraining.com. That's R-O-Y-L-E, Royle, Temple, T-E-M-P-L-E, training.com. All as one word. My main website's magicalguru.com, where there is a shop. I'll leave you with this one last thing. If you get somebody to stand there with their feet together, okay, toe to toe, heel to heel, feet together, legs together, hands by their side, and then get them to put their right arm out in front of them, straight, put their thumb up in the air and stare at their thumb, and then rotate on the count of 3 from their waist and follow their thumb with their eyes and their head. So it will look like this. 3, 2, 1. Follow your thumb with your eyes and your head. Going further, and stop the moment it becomes uncomfortable to go any further. Remember what you can see in the background. So to me, I see a certain point on the wall. And then you tell them to move back to where they were. Now just close your eyes. Imagine doing it again, rotating at the waist, following your thumb with your eyes, and as you do, you get to that point where you were in the past, the point where you were stuck. And now you notice, Lord, that something that may have apparently been impossible in the past is about to prove itself to be so ridiculously easy. You can go further and further with the greatest of ease. Nod your head when you've imagined that in your head, and once they nod their head, you know they've imagined it. By this point, you've already got them to the point where they believe you say stuff, they imagine it, and it becomes reality. So they open their eyes, and you say to them, great. Now this time, I'm going to count to 3. On the count of 3, I want you to rotate at the waist again, keeping your feet together, toe to toes, heel to heel, legs together. Rotate only at the waist. Move your arm and thumb in a clockwise direction and follow it with your eyes just as far as you can. And it will look something like this. 1, 2, 3 now. Whoa! And as you can genuinely see, it's gone way much further. And that will genuinely happen every time. They will be amazed and go, wow, that's amazing. At that point, you could literally go up to them and get hold of them and go, sleep! Because in that moment of shock, disorientated and confused, it's perfect time. But basically, watch this video back, and my 15 minutes is just overrun. And you'll see that the reason it works is because the first time you tell them to follow their thumb with their eyes and their head. So they have to stop here because they're not an owl. They can't turn their head any further. The second time, after that short time delay and the stuff we've just said, watch the video again, you tell them to follow their thumbs with their eyes. Their thumb with their eyes. Well, look. When they get to here, they can't go any further with their neck, which is what was first time, but they can move their eyes to follow the thumb. Try it yourself and you'll see it works every time. My name's Alex William Smith, aka Jonathan Royle, and thank you. That's my time.